Breaking news, this is Putin's latest strategy to undermine NATO. Estonia voiced its concerns last week regarding what it claimed was Russia's strategy of exploiting immigration as a weapon at the eastern borders of Europe, a strategy that would have a disproportionate impact on Finland and Estonia. Accusing the recent surge of hundreds of asylum seekers at these borders of a fully state-orchestrated operation by Moscow, Estonian Defense Minister Hanno Pevkur made the claim during a meeting in Stockholm with defense ministers from the Nordic and Baltic countries. The defense minister of Latvia, Andris Spruds, lent credence to this accusation by pointing the finger at Russian President Vladimir Putin, whom he called the puppet master. Finnish authorities have closed most border crossings and sought assistance from the European border guard agency Frontex after 800 refugees and migrants entered the country since early November. This influx of migrants is being characterized by Estonia as a hybrid attack operation on the eastern border of Europe. The implausibility of these migrants' journeys from places like Somalia, Yemen, and Syria to a remote border crossing in Finland during winter was brought to light by Pevkur. The arrival of asylum seekers in the past 2 weeks has Finnish officials convinced that Russia is directly involved, according to Reuters. As compared to the events on the Polish border in 2021, involving Russia and Belarus, the current situation is reminiscent of an apparent hybrid warfare tactic, according to the Washington, D.C.-based think tank, the Institute for the Study of War, ISW. If the ISW is to be believed, this strategy is likely similarly aimed at destabilizing NATO. After Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine, traditionally non-aligned Finland decided to join NATO in April, becoming its 31st member. One tactic states employ to influence or pressure other states or groups of states is the idea of weaponized migration, which refers to the practice of using immigration as a leverage tactic. There are a number of ways this tactic could be used in relation to Russia's relationship with NATO and Europe. The background: Russia and NATO have had a complicated and frequently antagonistic relationship throughout history. Russia considers NATO's expansion into Eastern Europe and former Soviet states as an immediate danger to its influence and security, which has caused tensions between the two countries. Russian President Vladimir Putin has presided over a period of rising tensions in the region as his country has grown more assertive in recent years. Global mobility as a weapon. International relations practitioners can employ migration as a weapon to subject target nations to social, economic, and political pressures. There is a risk of political unrest and a change in public sentiment if migration suddenly spikes in Europe, where numerous nations are already struggling with the problems of integration, social cohesiveness, and financial assistance for migrants and refugees. Data conflict strategy. Russian advanced information warfare capabilities, in addition to physical migration, could increase the social impact of migration in Europe. It may entail disseminating false information in order to heighten concerns about immigration, widen existing social gaps, and weaken the political unity of NATO nations, especially those with strong populist movements. European and NATO consequences. Stress on the cohesion of Europe. Since member states of the European Union and NATO have different opinions and abilities to deal with migrant influxes, increased migration can put political unity to the test. As a result, the united front against Russian aggression may weaken and internal strife may increase. Change in focus on security. Potentially weakening their position against Russian military actions, NATO and European countries could be compelled to redirect their focus and resources from defense and external security to internal security and border control if migration increases significantly. Changing political climate and public sentiment. More migration may have social effects that spark populist and nationalist movements in Europe. These groups may promote policies that are less supportive of collective security arrangements like NATO and more isolationist, which would help Russia achieve its strategic goals in a roundabout way. Recent migration across Europe has been characterized by the largest influx of asylum seekers since the crisis of 2015 to 2016, and a report in the Wall Street Journal claims that this is giving rise to far-right and anti-immigration parties. This change will have far-reaching effects on European politics going forward. The recent success of Geert Wilders in the Dutch elections is indicative of this tendency. For the last 15 years, anti-migration policies have been at the core of far-right politician Wilders' political platform. Analysts have observed that voters' preference for anti-establishment figures is strongly reflected in his election victory.